You're listening to a special episode of the Off the Line podcast where we're reviewing or we're rather predicting what the Euro 2020-21 table is going to look like. I apologize if my audio quality is a little bad today. It's just that I'm in a different location and logistical issues. But pushing forward, so right now I have with me Mr. Avinash Arun as always to discuss the Euro 2021. Again, this was supposed to happen last year, so a belated prediction. What do you think is the most exciting thing about these Euros? There are a lot of good teams coming through. You have some great groups, all that. But what do you think will be the most exciting thing these Euros?
Yeah, no, this Euro is going to be a very interesting one. It's going to be a very exciting one because there are a lot of great national teams in this Euros and the usual suspects. And this might also be the last chance for a few of the world class players to actually win something with their national team. So we can get. I think we should expect an amazing Euros around this time next week.
Right. I actually think the emergence of young talent is something that we all have to look forward to. Almost every team has a up and coming talent who's in their late teens or early 20s. You have who's there in England? You have Marcus Rashford. You have Phil Foden. I think he's been called up, and you have a lot of these great. Isn't Phil Foden called up? I don't
Yeah,
remember
of
the
course, he's
team.
called up. It's Phil Foden.
Yeah.
He's not called him up.
Yeah. Yeah. So my point being the young talent that's coming through will get a chance to shine in a major tournament. And some people that might not have got the call last year have got the call this year. So in that way, I think there's a little a fun dynamic there. So the Euros, much like the previous version, this is how it goes down. So basically, there are six groups of four teams each, and the top two teams from all the groups qualify for the last 16. Along with those 12 teams, there are four more teams that will qualify. So the four best third place teams will qualify, and there are a lot of nitty gritties in between all that. But the bare essence is that the top two from every group qualifies plus one third place team if they're good enough. So we'll be predicting all that. So we'll be doing the top two teams in every group, and we'll be doing the best third place teams as well. So the best place to start is Group A. So let's start off with Group A. So Group A is Switzerland, Turkey, Wales, and Italy. Now, like I said, there's a lot of options for young talent to shine, and I think one team that's actually looking for a chance for these young ones to click is Italy. What do you say?
Yeah, no, I agree with you because we all know Italy didn't qualify for the last World Cup, and they'll have that in the back of their minds, with all the managerial changes, with Roberto Mancini who actually taking the helm, and I think he's given at least like 35 players their debuts, and he's finally got through and decided on a team, which is a great thing, and they've actually gone through the Euro qualification process pretty unscathed. They didn't. I think they amassed like I don't think they lost a game during the qualification process. So yeah, Italy look like strong contenders for the title this year with a good blend of experience and youngsters. They'll be a bit hurt by the unfortunate injury of Nicolo Zaniolo, who's a very good and upcoming rising star, but they have enough quality in their team to actually top this group.
Right. So we'll start off with the predictions episode. So I think you're going for Italy top of the group, yeah?
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah.
Cool. So actually wanted to discuss a little more about Italy's, young squad. Chiesa has been doing very well at Juventus this season. I think he was one of the standout performers for Juventus, even though they had a pretty poor season. Now that midfield looks pretty unbalanced, if you would say, because you have a lot of what do you say, defensively minded players when you look at attacking players. Like for example, you have what do you say? You have Marco Verratti, you have Jorginho, you have Barella. All these players are traditionally defensive players. Do you think Mancini will have a problem picking a little more of an attacking midfield when it comes to the big games?
I mean, I don't think so because I think Mancini as a coach, he knows he's a title-winning coach in the English Premier League. I think he knows how to adapt to situations when it arises, and I think with they I think they I don't think he should have a problem, but like you said, it's the Euros and it depends. It's what matters on that day, so we'll see then. As of now, I still think they should top the group comfortably because no, I think they have enough attacking talent to, anyways, negate the whole midfield. I think Ciro Immobile is coming off a very good season himself, even though Lazio didn't do well, and Lorenzo Insigne has been as productive as always. So I feel that attacking talent as a whole they have it, and they have enough bench strength as well to go through all these obstacles.
Okay, cool. So now the choice is between the Switzerland, Turkey, and Wales for the second position. Now, again, there are good cases to be made for all three teams, but who do you think takes second spot?
No, I think it should be Turkey because I think Turkey will take it also because Uh, you know, obviously two of their main players in Celik and Burak Yilmaz, they're coming off a great season at Lille. They won the title with the French side, and they've actually been very solid defensively. With players like Kabak, Soyuncu, and I think Demiral. So yeah, so I think they've conceded. I don't think they conceded a single goal at home during the qualification campaign, including beating France 2-0. So I think they're coming off with great confidence into these Euros, and I think they are the dark horses in this tournament. That's my call early on. I think they might go a long way. They might replicate the 2002 heroics of the national team in these Euros.
Yeah, Turkey seemed like a pretty, what do you say, exciting team when you look at it, altogether. Because I think they've kept 8 clean sheets in their 10 qualification games. Defensively they look sound, and I think Kavechi is in Turkey. I think he's been called up this time. I think if you remember the game against Leipzig, he scored a hat trick. All three were screamers. I mean,
Mm.
they
They
have that.
also have Chalanolu, who
Yeah,
I can't believe I forgot about him. Yeah.
excellent set piece taker, and they seem to have an excellent squad. So again, yeah, I don't think it's a large call calling Turkey second. But now comes the crucial. I would say the third place is the most crucial because even if you finish third, you still have a chance to finish. Get into the top 16 or the round of 16. So who would you say is going home, and who would you say will stick around?
This is a very hard call, but I think Wales will go through. I mean, I know they obviously have had a few issues off the pitch with the whole scandal surrounding Ryan Giggs right before the tournament. But they have enough quality, and Gareth Bale, who obviously has Wales as number one in his priority list, followed by golf. So you know for a fact that when it comes to the national team, he's not going to slack off. And him and Ramsey and Joe Allen, I think, has been called. So I think they have enough quality to actually do well and finish third. And they're also semi-finalists in the last Euros, so they'll take that as inspiration, and I think they'll finish third in this year's group.
Yeah, like you mentioned, the off-field issues aside, Wales. I mean, I wouldn't say they look like a very strong team. I'd say they look like a capable team who may be able to push Italy. Again, this is a pretty difficult group to call. Obviously, you have
This,
Turkey
I
coming.
mean, I think yeah, all groups are difficult, but because these teams are almost equal in every aspect, it's pretty hard to call this group especially.
So that means if we put Wales third, that means Switzerland unfortunately are going home. Now, even though Switzerland do have a decent squad, you have Embolo, who's been performing. His season's been start.
No, yeah, I mean they have their main players like Shakiri who hasn't played much this year, and Granit Xhaka who's been up down, for his whole career in fact. So I don't know. That team just doesn't feel like it might have enough quality when needed, especially in this group. and I think the other teams will want it more when they play Switzerland.
Cool. So yeah, so unfortunately Switzerland seem to be taking the fast route home. Now moving on to Group B. Now Group B is Russia, Belgium, Denmark, and Finland. Now again, the first position seems kind of obvious, yeah. Like I don't see any
They're
other.
the number one ranked team in the world, and they'll also have this added expectation, because this might be the last chance the golden generation of the Belgian national team get to win a title, and this might be the easiest chance. Obviously, there's the World Cup next year, but this might be their easiest chance to do it. And they've obviously reached the semifinals of the World Cup, and they have to carry that momentum forward into this tournament. But the problem might be that a player like Eden Hazard hasn't actually done well this year, so I don't know how they're going to cope with that.
Again, even though Belgium look like overwhelming favorites for this particular group, you have to understand that their defense is not at their strongest, because in the 2018 World Cup you had Jan Vertonghen and Toby Alderweireld coming off really good seasons at Spurs, but now and you have Vermaelen who's been playing in the Japanese league, who's going to be starting. So
Has Vermaelen been
does
called up?
yeah, Vermaelen has been called up. It's Vertonghen, Vermaelen,
Yes. I think, but
Alderweireld,
I
Boyat.
expect Martinez to play Josh Denier, who's done well, uh,
Yeah, Jason Denayer.
especially
Yeah,
for the
yeah,
national team. Yeah, Jason Denier, sorry.
yeah, yeah. But yeah, like he prefers that three at the back, so we don't know how he's going to start four centre backs. But yeah, like the Belgium team's defense looked like its weakest link now, and yeah, maybe the fact like you mentioned, Hazard hasn't played for like over a year and played properly for over a year, and maybe that kind of puts a damper on making them tournament favorites. But definitely, I don't think they'll have any problem finishing top of the group, because of Lukaku and that strike force that they have up front. Moving on to second place, who do you think is going to be second in this group? Again, I don't see any overwhelming favorites for second. Like
I mean, but I think Denmark should comfortably beat either Russia or Finland, only because of the quality of players they have as compared to the other two teams. Because they have Christensen, who's coming off a Champions League win. They have Eriksen, who might have started the season pretty poorly, but who's come off and actually done really well towards the latter part of the season and being an integral part of Conte's team. And they have Paulsen, they have Kjær. So I feel like Denmark should be able to defeat Russia and Finland and come second in this group.
yeah, I was looking at this team, and you have Højbjerg actually.
Yes,
Tottenham have had a pretty lackluster season altogether, but
he's
Højbjerg
been
is
the standout player.
one person who's actually been playing well. So you have the midfield options seem pretty good for them. You have Eriksen and Højbjerg, and then you have Christensen in defense. Again, they look like a pretty decent squad. When you look at all these squads, they all look pretty decent at first sight. But again, this is the Euros, and when they start, you never know how this is going to play out. Right. So moving on from Denmark to who do you think is going to finish out of Russia and Finland?
I mean, this is, I guess, not as hard as Wales or Switzerland, but I think Russia should finish third again, only because of the quality they've had, and the fact that they've obviously played in Europe and in World Cups before. And whereas Finland, this is their first tournament, I think, in a long time, or maybe even in their history. So I think Russia, with players like Golovin, Miranchuk having a good season with Atlanta, and Artem Juba, the evergreen striker, just I think him. I can't wait for him to do his salute celebration. I can already see him do that.
Yeah.
So I think they should
Yeah.
finish comfortably third in the group.
Zuba is that tall presence in the box.
Yeah.
Like you put in one header, somehow he'll direct it onto goal, and yeah, it does look like it. So that having decided our three teams, that means Finland is finishing fourth.
But I
So
really, I
Timo
really
Pukki
do
might
hope
be
Team Pukki has a good Euro. I hope he scores a few
yeah.
goals.
True. Like, I mean, he does perform in months, that prime purple patch month. So hopefully this June, July is his purple patch.
Yeah.
Right. Moving on to Group C. Group C is Austria, North Macedonia, Ukraine, and Netherlands. Again, I only see one team as overwhelming favorites for this particular group, but the other three again seem to be almost the same. So I'm gonna go ahead and put Netherlands up first. I'm hoping this is coming up because there is no Van Dijk and
No, I think
teams without
they
Van
should.
Dijk.
I mean, obviously Netherlands have had some issues in the recent past, but I mean, they should be able to defeat the other three teams, shouldn't they?
Yeah, I mean, unless you get some big upset where Netherlands ended up finishing third or something, I don't
I,
think they'll be knocked out of the
the
competition.
the only problem I have with Netherlands is actually that they play five at the back and not like three. They don't play three centre backs and two wing backs. They genuinely play five at the back right now, and I think is the only negativity I have towards that team. But who knows? Maybe it'll work.
Actually, Netherlands playing for five at the back is blasphemous to the memory of your
Yeah,
Cruyff,
Ronald de Boer, Frank de
because
Boer's brother itself himself said that it's
yeah,
a disgrace or whatever. But who knows? We'll see how the
but
tournament progresses.
again, yeah. So like I mean, memory is all and well good, but you can't fashion tactics from memory. So another thing I wanted to ask about the goalkeeper situation in what do you say, Netherlands. Like almost every other team seems to have a good goalkeeper in terms of shot stopping ability or somebody who's playing in one of the top five leagues. You have in goalkeepers in the Netherlands, you have Tim Krul and Stecklenburg, the first two choices. Do you think that might come back to bite Netherlands in the ass sometime?
Maybe yeah, maybe in the latter stages, maybe if they reach a knockout, that might actually prove to be a hurdle. I mean, it's unfortunate that Sillerson contracted the virus and he had to go back early on. He would have obviously started as the number one choice. But Krul is an experienced guy between the sticks, and Stecklenburg was actually the main keeper in the 2010 World Cup run. So these two have experience under the belts, and I think they can do a good job filling in for Citizen. And we know Krul as actually is a great penalty specialist who's
Yeah,
subbed
I
on
was
just
going
for
to
that.
mention that
Yeah.
Krul is definitely a penalty expert, and I'm pretty sure Netherlands, if they seem to be losing, they'll just play the game until they reach a penalty shootout. Just hope Krul can save them.
Yeah.
Right. Now the other three teams you have Austria, North Macedonia, and Ukraine. Again, these teams
I mean, this is
just
as gray as it gets because I really don't know what to say about these three. I mean, because we have two teams who are probably average in Europe, whereas and we have a North Macedonian team who's going to give it their all. So I really don't know
yeah.
what to call in this. I mean,
I mean, I do. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Go ahead, go ahead.
mm, yeah, I'm still stumped. I guess I could say Austria coming second just because they have a better squad than Ukraine, and I might be wrong because I'm pretty sure Ukraine might defeat Austria too. I mean, you never know. But the thing is, Austria have enough players like Arnautovic and Alaba to and Sabitzer, I guess. Yeah. So
Yeah, Savage says
yeah,
there.
I think
Yeah,
they have enough quality. They have more quality than Ukraine, and maybe, and I think after the last Euros where they were eliminated pretty early, I think they'd want to create some sort of impact this time around. Maybe that would sort of, push them forward a bit more
I
this
mean,
year.
I'm looking at the what do you say, Ukraine team, and I mean, I know that Shevchenko has built up a pretty decent unit, but I don't see many recognizable players or anything of that sort. It just looks like their inexperience might cause them to falter a little bit in the top two race, but I do see them finishing third in this group. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, I mean, like you said, yeah, they don't have a bunch of superstars in their team. I mean, obviously Zinchenko, Malinovsky, and Yarmolenko are the only names that come to mind, and I think Konoplyanka to an extent. But yeah, I think they should beat North Macedonia. But you just never know because North Macedonia are a team who are full of surprises. I think they
yeah,
defeated
they defeated
Germany.
Germany 2
I
1.
think a
Yeah.
couple of months
No, but then
ago.
again, yeah, see, that's what. They have no
Yeah,
pressure,
so
right?
and they
Like, they have no pressure. No, there's no expectations.
yeah, they're going to play fully. They're going to play completely freely. Goran Pandev. He's just going to. He knows this is probably his last ever match for the national team, and it's the biggest stage he could do it in. And I think that whole team, Elmas, Alioski included, who are coming off good years, good seasons. I think they're going to go out all guns blazing and give like proper attacking football. It'd be fun to watch this group, I feel.
Let's hope. Let's hope it's fun to watch. And I mean, I hope North Macedonia have at least one upset in this particular group. Uh, right. So moving on from Group C to Group D, we have Scotland, England, Croatia, and Czech Republic. I'm pretty sure we all have a lot to speak about England. So when we get to England, let's discuss all there is to discuss. Yeah, because we have selection conundrums and stuff like that. So who do you think will top this group?
England. I mean, they should. I don't. I mean, with all the attacking talents they have and with the defensive, players they have in their team, they should be heavy favorites to top the group. I mean, you could go as far as saying they're favorites to win the tournament, but like I said, this group seems easy enough for them to navigate their way through, even though they've been pretty sketchy at times.
Yeah, I mean the issue that I have with England, like I think you mentioned it when we were speaking yesterday. In spite of having such vast attacking pool, they decide to go back and defend, and then that's kind of today we saw England. They had to Trent had to withdraw because of an injury, and they ended up selecting Ben White, who's a centre back. Now, considering that Southgate started with four right backs, and one right back went off injured, he had all the option to select a proper midfielder or an attacker, but ended up choosing a defender. Do you think that mentality is going to cost England in this year in the Euros?
Yeah, I really do because I mean, for all that's said about England, for all the good that's been said, they have had pretty big shockers during the qualification. I mean, they haven't really done really well in fact, and like you said, bringing in Ben White for Trent Alexander-Arnold didn't really make sense to me. And we saw yesterday Roy Keane how he pretty much lost his shit about why Henderson is in the team, and I completely agree with him. Henderson shouldn't be in the team only because he hasn't played this year. I mean, I don't have anything. I mean, I do have a lot against Henderson, but if he if he's had chances and if he had played and if he had a good year, I wouldn't have been against him being in the team. But when you have players like James Ward-Prowse, Jesse Lingard, who come off good years, good seasons with their clubs, and if you're not taking them and you're going for an all-defensive approach, I mean, I don't know. I don't know what Southgate has in mind. I mean, Southgate might want to play a bit defensive. Maybe that's the kind of coach he is, but I don't think he should be doing that with this England squad, especially with the youngsters in that squad.
Yeah, like you mentioned, you have that attacking squad is it's filled with talent, and yet the man chooses to play a five at the back or a. I mean, if you think about it, yeah, like you have an option to play four at the back, you have an option to play something a little more free flowing or something a little more, but he just doesn't do that. You have, I think he has four right backs. Right? That's what he started off with.
Yeah, he has four right backs and now he's bought an extra centre back. I mean, I guess that's to provide cover to Maguire in case Maguire doesn't, you know, have full fitness during the whole tournament. But still, I mean, I don't know, it just stumps me. We'll see. And I think Southgate will have that on the back of his mind because, he actually missed the deciding penalty in the 96 Euro semi-finals. So I think he has a point to prove himself personally on a personal level. So he'll want to do well in this Euro. So maybe he's being a bit too cautious about it.
Yeah. Again, let's see. We'll have to wait and see. So again, this group seems pretty clear cut. You have Croatia coming in second, I would say, because just because of that team, yeah, the quality that team possesses, yeah. Would you agree?
Yeah, I mean, I'll agree with you right now, but I genuinely think Scotland might finish second.
No, but like if you have like
I
and
mean,
this
but like overwhelmingly, I feel, yeah, people would go more with Croatia because of them being the 2018 runners up for the World Cup. But then since then, their team has been in a sort of a decline. They haven't actually found a good replacement for their goalkeeper. They don't have a proper centre forward after Mandzukic and Subasic have retired from international football. And they have a few aging stars. I mean, Modric is as good as ever, but he's still old. And and Scotland on the other hand are playing with a certain degree of freedom because they know that this is probably one of the best teams they've had in the past few years. And with players like Che Adams and Robertson and I think McGinn, they've all done well domestically. So I think they might make a good case to finish second. Also because uh, the two of the games Scotland play are going to be played at home. Only the game against England will be played away from home. The other two games are going to be played at Glasgow. So I feel that might also be a factor.
No, I mean, yeah, let's make a bold claim and put Scotland up second. Yeah, right. So putting Croatia in third means Czech Republic get to go home early. Um, I mean, do
In
you have
spite of
any?
having stars
Yeah,
like Socek and Sufal, but really, I don't see them doing that well this year.
yeah, like you said, Kufal's had a pretty good year, in West Ham, and he's actually, I think he's had a good impact in West Ham in the attacking sense, but it just, yeah, like you said, this squad, I mean, this group might be a little difficult to call, because we've put Scotland up second and Croatia in third. Hopefully that doesn't come back to bite us, but yeah, like our logic is sound, Croatian squad has been a bit on the decline, but yeah. Cool. So moving on from Group D to Group E, we have Poland, Spain, Sweden, and Slovakia. Again, I just don't know how to call this. Even though there is Spain in this particular group, I am not too sure they might end up finishing on top. I
Even
think that's
I agree with you. I'm not sure, but again, I'm going back to the whole home advantage scenario where Spain are actually going to be playing at home. So, and I feel that is enough to like pip them to get the top position. I mean, I'm not really. I wouldn't say comfortable. I don't really like the squad that Spain have brought forward for this Euros, especially considering they've not actually filled in two of their places. I think they filled one in half an hour back when they bought in Brais Mendes. Uh, I don't know. I think is Sergio Busquets going to play this Euros or not is a big question right now. And if Busquets doesn't play, then Spain might be in trouble, even though they have other good players in the
yeah.
squad.
Like I think yeah, Busquets' what do you say involvement seems to be in question. I hope he recovers. From COVID.
I mean, even if he does recover, I don't think he can play because if you've told Jasper Cillessen to go away before the tournament, how can you make Sergio
Yeah,
Busquets play?
true, true. Like, yeah, I don't see him playing at all. I'm saying, I hope he recovers fast. There's no permanent damage to his body or anything. I just hope he,
Yeah,
recovers fast. Yeah. But, like, again, the same issue that I have with the England squad, I seem to have with the Spain squad. I think Enrique has got the recruitment part wrong. Again, the fact that there is no Real Madrid player, that is just a footnote. I'm saying to leave a person or a personality like Sergio Ramos at home when you have two slots left in your team, that's kind of a statement, isn't it? I think we had the same discussion yesterday, I would say.
yeah. I mean, I agree with you, especially when you have a couple of spots up for grabs, and to not include Sergio Ramos in that squad with those two spots still available. I feel like I think that's a brave call. It might be a foolish call. We can just wait and watch because Sergio Ramos obviously provides that sort of leadership quality in the dressing room, even if he doesn't play. You could see him cheering on for Madrid from the stands even when he wasn't playing a few games this year. And that's the kind of personality you want in the dressing room when these youngsters go out to play. And if he's not there, that might be a problem, I guess. We just wait and see to know what Spain does in these Euros. I really hope
Another
they don't do well, personally.
Yeah, like I think another issue that they have is with the forwards because I don't think Alvaro Morata can lead a Spain line. I mean, I'll be happy if he proves me wrong, but I don't think he can do it because he was supposed to do that for Juventus and he didn't really do it. Even with
Yeah,
Ronaldo there, he didn't
um,
really
I
do
think
that.
I think he's going to. I think Enrique is going to play Gerard Moreno, who's coming off a great year with Villarreal. He should be starting with Moreno, but yeah, like you said, if Morata does start the brunt of the games, then Spain might have a hard time scoring goals, especially since Morata's not really been that good a player for the past few years. And it stumps me that he's actually got a call up over Aspas. I don't think Aspas is in the team. I'm surprised
No,
Aspas hasn't got a call up.
yeah, Aspas didn't get a call up.
Yeah, so I don't really. I'm genuinely not a fan of the Spain team. I usually am, when you see the Spain squad, it's usually one of the first. I'm usually excited to see who are the players in the Spain squad. But this year, I'm not feeling that sort of excitement.
Yeah, I mean, there is one player I'm excited to see. I think Pau Torres is a pretty exciting prospect to see because for me,
But that's
obviously, it's
only because
because
he's linked to Manchester
yeah,
United.
yeah, I want to see what he can do in a big stage. As I'm like you just mentioned, like because he's linked to United, I would like to see
Because
what he does.
the Europa League final wasn't a big stage.
Uh, Again, see, I don't think that I don't think dragging up old memories will do us any good. But
Uh,
yeah, hopefully Pau Torres can show us something big enough for him to get that big move. But now moving on to the second spot in this particular Group E. Mm, my gut tells me to give it to Poland, but I made the mistake of listening to my gut in the 2018 World Cup. So, what would you say?
oh yeah, Poland. I think had a very poor. They played the 2018 World Cup. That's how I don't even remember them playing the World
Yeah,
Cup.
they lost. I think they've only won one game in their group, and that was against Japan. And Japan ended up qualifying above them because of fair play or
Oh
something. I
yes,
don't
yes,
remember
yes.
the.
Correct, correct.
Yeah,
Yeah, so yeah, Poland yeah, they were supposed to be dark horses during the 2018 tournament, but they didn't really do well. And I guess this year maybe Lewandowski is coming off a great couple of years, so maybe that should be enough for them. With the added advantage of having a few better players like Milik, Krychowiak, Chesney. Maybe that should be enough for them to complete the second spot in the group because I mean I feel like this is the weakest group out of all the groups. Do you feel so?
yeah. Like I kind of like the Sweden team, because I think the last World Cup they did put up a bit of a surprise. But again, I don't see the Sweden group. You there are good players in the Sweden group. I'm not denying it. You have Lindelof, you have Forsberg, you have good players in this team. It's just that I just don't see them qualifying for the in the top two. Maybe a best place third team, maybe I don't know, but
Yeah, I mean, I think if Ibra had, been fit for this tournament, maybe they would have been my pick. But since Ibra is also out now,
yeah.
I don't know. I don't think they
I
should.
mean, yeah, yeah. Alexander Isak is a pretty good, what do you say, striker, but he is no Ibrahimovic. And Ibrahimovic would not only bring goals to the team, he would also bring that presence. He's had
Yeah,
experience playing in big tournaments, and he's a big personality. And when you take away such a big personality from a team, that's bound to affect the team as well. So for that
but
reason, I would
Sweden
say,
have already, proved the critics wrong with that run in the World Cup. With them actually reaching the. I think what did they
yeah,
reach? I think they reached the pre-quarterfinals. I
semis.
don't think they
No,
were
sorry,
expected to
quarters.
win.
No,
Yeah,
they reached the
so
quarters, right? I think they beat England. Sorry, England beat them.
pre-quarterfinals because
Yeah, pre-quarters. Yeah. No, no, they reached the quarters, if I remember right.
no, England beat Colombia in the quarters in a
Did they?
penalty shootout, and in the
Okay,
semifinals they
maybe.
lost. Yeah, but like you said, Sweden. I don't know. Maybe they might do well. Just Sweden actually came off with Germany in that group, so they actually topped that
Ah,
group when Germany in
yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah.
So yeah, they came second in that group. So I think they might again exceed expectations. Like you said, all those players, Kulusevski also. See, you never
Oh,
know.
yeah.
I don't, but I still don't feel like they have. I still don't feel that in this group. I feel like this group is the group whose matches I'm going to watch. Like I'm going to be the least interested in.
Yeah, I mean, none of these beget too much interest, like especially because of the bad selection of the Spain squad.
Yeah,
I just am not interested in this at all. But hopefully we get to see Poland. I mean, Lewandowski score some goals for the international team and that kind of respect. So, having Sweden in the third place means Slovakia is going home early again.
no, I
And
mean, sure. I mean that is pretty much what they do in football, isn't it?
they're really good. I mean, they have Dubravka as the goalkeeper, and
Yeah, they have
I don't.
Dubravka, they have Milan Skriniar, they have Marek Hamzik, but
They have
again,
individual players, yeah, and I think
yeah, I don't
Hamsik
see
has
them
been
doing
playing
well.
since. time immemorial. I just don't, yeah, like you said, they just don't seem to click as a team and in terms of international tournaments. I think they didn't qualify for the last World Cup, did they? I don't remember them having qualified.
I think they did. Maybe they
They
didn't.
did.
Who even knows? Who cares?
That's my point exactly. You know,
Yeah.
you don't remember if they qualified for the previous tournament either. So moving on from the most boring group in this particular tournament to the most exciting group in this particular tournament, Group F. We have
Yeah.
Portugal, France, Germany, and Hungary. And you know, I'm pretty sure Hungary feel like, you know, who was that in the group of death that, you know, when they were announced they started laughing.
Sparta
I
Praha.
think, yeah, Sparta Prague. I'm pretty sure the
Yeah.
Hungarian national team were pretty much like that. You know, you
I
have
think you
Billy
can
go up
just go
against.
ahead and put Hungary last already in
Yeah, I
this
mean,
group.
I'm sorry,
Unless and
Hungarian
until they do
national
like
team.
a Costa Rica from the World Cup of 2010 and
Yeah, I
actually top the
mean,
group, I don't see that happening.
yeah, I mean, like, I'm sorry, any Hungary fans listening to our podcast. I'm sure there is one person from Hungary listening to our podcast. I'm sorry if you feel bad, but it just seems to be how the cookie crumbles for you. Because, you know, when you go up against Portugal, France, and Germany, there is, you know, you're supposed to expect this particular result. And I don't think you can be angry, if, you know, that we decided to put you in last place. But, you know, the big calls, I think, have to come now. Who do you see? We'll go with a bottom up. Who do you see? We think will finish third.
Germany, because I think Portugal and France have the two strongest squads in the tournament, and Germany aren't really coming off great form into the tournament. They've actually lost to Spain. They lost to Spain 6-0, and then they lost to Macedonia, and then they've played out a couple of draws. So that German team just hasn't clicked enough. But I think bringing in Muller and Hummels is a good move by Joachim Löw, who's also going to be managing his final tournament. But having said all that, I still think they'll finish third, but I think they'll have enough points and goal difference to get through from that third position.
No, I mean, now that we're discussing about the German team, I think this German team might be, you know, I still think they're going to finish third in the group just because of how good Portugal and France may be. Like, still think that this German team is going to do better than the 2018 World Cup than they were in the 2018 World Cup because that team just looked like they didn't have any ideas to what to do. You know, they didn't have anybody to rely on for goals. Yeah, they just because in the 2014 World Cup, the whole team kind of they had that kind of movement and they just made goals from nothing. If you remember that 7-1 demolition of Brazil, you had people like Schürrle chipping with goals. You had people like almost everybody in that midfield chipped up with goals. Like that was
But
missing in the
I guess the
2018 World
thing
Cup.
was because all these players, especially the core group of German players, they had been playing since the 2006 World Cup, and 2006, 2010 is when you started noticing the team with players like Khedira, Muller. So I think this might be the start of a German team for the future, this tournament especially. Players like Havertz, Werner, you have Kimmich, you have, Skoretska with his muscles, Sane. All this might be the start of a great German team for the next few years to come, especially under a good manager like Hansi Flick. But as of now, because of how good Portugal and France are, I just don't see them, finishing third. I mean, finishing first or second.
I think Germany are going to be third on the virtue that Portugal and France have such good teams. So second place.
Yeah. If they were in any other group, I would have just put them as favorites to win the group.
Yeah, for sure. Like, if put them in the Spain group, I would have them finishing above Spain for sure. But,
Yeah.
right. So, second spot, who do you think second place? I think I know because you've been supporting Portugal for a long time. I'm pretty sure that will
I
factor
actually
in.
started supporting Portugal before I started supporting Chelsea because one of the first World Cups I ever saw was the 2006 World Cup, and that's when I started watching Portugal play. But I'll be very realistic and I'll say Portugal might finish second.
Cool.
But that again is something I don't believe will happen. I think Portugal and France might just play out a draw also. But yeah, the only thing that separates them is I think Portugal have a bit. I mean, compared to France, their squad is a bit weaker. Only compared to France, not compared to anyone else.
Yeah, true,
And
true.
France have world class players in every position, and they have backup world class players as well. Whereas Portugal might not have that. And France are also the current world champions. So they have that going for them, and they'll be playing a few games at home. So I think France would top that group because of that logic.
Yeah, all that being considered, France, like you mentioned here, but like what do you see as the weakness for this particular Portugal team? Like you said, they have good players in the team. What do you think will be a weakness that some teams might to look to exploit?
I guess, there's a chance that if you actually Portugal's main forward, as we all know, is going to be Cristiano Ronaldo, and there might be a chance that, especially when you go up against these a bit, a bit defensive-minded teams, if they man mark Ronaldo and if they man mark one more player, like for example, they man mark Bruno, then to find that creativity in that Portugal team is going to be a bit hard. I'm not saying they won't find it. I'm not saying Bernardo Silva or Moutinho or even Cancelo isn't capable of doing that. But these, when you can take at least one out of two game changers out of the equation, then it's going to be a bit hard because their team is built around these two talismans.
Cool. So, the same question, if I were to ask you for the France team, where do you say the French team's defense, or sorry, chink in the armor would be?
I guess if I'm being very honest, I don't see actually even for Portugal, I don't really find the chink in the armor. That was a very like out of the blue kind of chink I found. But the same thing for France, I would say is probably the only weak link they have is they might be a little bit lacking in the right back area because I think Benjamin Pavard is the main right back. I don't think he's a great player, but he's been a good player for France, and maybe that might be the only area that teams could probably find some sort of solace in while attacking. And also, I think even on the left side, I think they're going to play Lucas Hernandez. I'm surprised they didn't call up Theo Hernandez, who's had an amazing year with Milan, by the way. I was very surprised when he wasn't called up.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
That kind of shows the kind of the depth that France have when you can leave out players like Upamecano and you have Theo Hernandez and all. You can leave them out and still have such a world class squad. Yeah, I've been following this France team for quite a while. I think I had them. I had odds on them winning the last World Cup, so I kind of made some money off that. If I remember, I made a cup. I think $200 of my family. So I do think. Actually, we'll get to the whole. Who do you think will go the distance and all in some time? So we have our 12 players. I mean, 12 teams that will qualify for our round of 16, which means we have to select the next four. So out of who do you think will be the best top four third place teams? So like we have Wales, Russia, Ukraine, Croatia, and Germany and Sweden in the third place in all the groups. So if we'll decide the four. So who do you think out of these teams will qualify?
I think Germany and Croatia should make it comfortably. Uh, because like I said, they're in pretty hard groups to call, and they should make it out of it
I
well.
think same applies for Wales as well. Yeah.
And the other two are going to be hard. Yeah, Wales too. Yeah, I guess
Yeah.
Wales too. Now the last team
Last
is
team
the
is the
hard
hard one.
one. The Balkans,
Yeah,
Russia,
it actually
Ukraine, or
is.
Sweden.
That's actually a pretty good. It's a
Actually, to be honest, I don't think Sweden will do anything. Actually, now the thing is, if you see the Group E group, and like I said, it's a very pretty shit group. But it might be so bad that they all get equal points, and it might be
yeah.
decided on goal
Yeah.
difference. It might be something like that.
That's the problem with calling
But
shit groups, isn't it?
no, I think I'll go for Russia
Okay, so
because I think Russia will defeat Finland and lose the other two games, and Russia will have the 3 points required to qualify.
cool. So I think that means Ukraine and Sweden are for sure going home. So I think we have.
Uh, this might bite me back in my ass, but who knows?
Yeah, I mean we're all for bold calls in off the line. I remember I keep bringing this up. Last season when we were making our Premier League predictions, which we will be coming around to in some time. I think I called West Ham to finish in the bottom, and they just ended up finishing sixth. So how bad can your prediction be? Yeah. So so right now we have these are our 16 qualifying teams. We have Italy and Turkey qualifying from Group A, and Wales following them as one best third place team. We have Belgium, Denmark, and Russia from Group B. We have Netherlands and Austria from Group C. We have England, Scotland, and Croatia from Group D. We have Spain and Poland from Group E. And we have France, Portugal, and Germany qualifying from Group F. So these are our 16 teams. And I think that's the end of this particular, offline episode. Thank you all for listening. Thank you, Avinash, for the predictions. Thank you guys for listening. If you guys are still listening, that is. And so we'll be coming at you with more great content, hopefully. And till then, stay safe, stay indoors, and cheers.